Hi, I'm Worthington of Borrowing Tape, and I'm here today with Stefon Bristol, the director of the sci-fi film Breathe. Thank you for joining us today. So, I'd like to start off by talking about representation and representations in Breathe. So, Breathe features two women of colour as the protagonists, which is unfortunately quite rare in sci-fi films or thriller films. How important is
100%.
how important is representation and visibility for you as a filmmaker?
I grew up watching, some of my favorite movies growing up watching Jurassic Park and Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, like really amazing films. But, as a boy from Brooklyn, from West Indian, from an Afro-Caribbean household, I don't get to see that on screen. I don't get to see that representation ever. I mean, until recently, in a way, Black Panther really obviously made a big hit. But when I was a kid, very, very few. We had Static Shock, the cartoon, that was really big for me. And of course, Blade, it came out. But what really always the the most interesting image I ever saw in a horror or sci-fi space of a black woman lead one time I thought it was very interesting was Sanaa Lathan in Alien versus Predator. I was like, wow, that's really cool. I've never seen something like that before, and then left, and I'm just like, yo, when I started doing See You Yesterday, I never thought of I thought of about having the lead be a young black woman, and I decided to go on from there. It's very important because I have a lot of actress friends, a lot of black women were actors, and they tell me all the time our when we audition for roles, they're very limiting. Always been limiting, and it's not anything inspiring, honestly, for them. So I took that as an interest as well. When I start writing movies that's centered around black women protagonists in this space. I've always loved sci-fi action adventure genre, but throughout my life, I've always been surrounded by amazing black women. Obviously my mom, amazing black woman. Uh, you know, One of the most amazing things she always do for me is anytime I go through something, we pray with each other. Always, anything I have to do, every time I have to pitch, about to shoot a movie, about to do something like go on a big meeting, we will pray together. And also, which is only a slither of the amazing thing my mom would do for me, is that she, for my thesis from my NYU, she had refinanced her home so I can, help, so that can help be paid for my thesis film, which is a beautiful thing she done, and she done other great things before and after that. She carried me for 9 months. She got me in and out of church, all of that. And also,
Fantastic.
not
Yeah,
not to yeah, not to take up on one more thing, not to take up all your time on thing, but it's also a black woman that told me to go to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. So very important.
fantastic. So it's those kind of so there's kind of classic sci-fi films really that inspired you, and then also strong
Mm-hmm.
black women in your life and wanting to offer more representations of those identities within film and cinema,
Mm-hmm.
which is what
Mm-hmm.
we need broadly in cinema, within American cinema, isn't it? This um, greater visibility and representations for a range of different identities, and it's fantastic that you're doing that.
Mm-hmm. Thank
Um,
you.
so Breathe features a great cast. It has a great cast, including Jennifer Hudson, Common, Milla Jovovich, and Sam Worthington. What was the casting process like?
When we finished the script to where me and the producers really loved it to be, then we went out to trying to find actors to attach the film to see if we can get financing. So one of the first people to be got cast was actually Milla. Milla was. I mean, I was like, wow. I was like, folks in Mila's camp to meet with me, which is very, very nice. And I met with her, and she was wonderful, wonderful person. She even drove me to the mall after our meeting. You know what I'm saying? It was really cool, really cool. And for we were still trying to look for our lead actress, but someone, was having a hard time finding the lead actress for Maya. And one of my producers was like, "Hey, what do you think about Jennifer Hudson?" At first, I was skeptical, but it took a while, and I didn't imagine Jennifer, with a shotgun. I was like, you know what? Yeah.
Which, I mean, exactly. Well, very different for her, isn't it? From, supporting actress Oscar for Dreamgirls to kicking
Yes.
ass in Breathe. Amazing.
Yeah. That's the biggest Venus. I was like, wow, this is gonna be something wildly different. Never ever thought of like Jennifer Hudson being an action movie, and she was wonderful to work with. I really loved to work with her. She was very very into it. Always asked questions. Had this huge curiosity about her for the role because she knows a lot about acting and being a musician, but very little about science and or being a scientist on screen or action. So she was asking questions out the wazoo, and I was just I did all I can to help her out.
Great. So it sounds like you had a really positive experience, right, working with all of these stars. And could you share some memorable or unexpected moments from the filming process?
Man, one of my best. Not the spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. This is spoiler. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it was a big scene between Sam and Quvenzhané. And Quvenzhané needed, she was a very emotional scene, so she had to cry. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I was trying to figure out how to prepare. Of course, Quvenzhané knew how to cry on cue and whatnot, which is great. But I needed more than just a cry on cue. And I want to make sure she feels, really be in the moment, present moment, feel it out. Anything I could help her get there. So I was really nervous. But luckily, that day, her boyfriend broke up with her unexpectedly.
Okay, so that's obviously
So
sad, but great for you.
it
The emotion and
was sad
yeah,
for her, but it was like it was heaven for me.
yeah. Something to work with,
So
yeah.
yeah. So she used the unfortunate event that day, to help her get through, get through that scene, and it
Mhm.
worked.
Yeah, and it did. So yeah, great. I was also interested in, so obviously there, we talked a bit about the cast, your, memorable moment. I was also thinking about where the movie was filmed. I was really interested in that whilst watching it. So
Yeah,
where,
yeah,
how some of the logistics behind that, and yeah, could you tell us a bit about how it was filmed? How long was principal
Oh, 100%.
photography?
The principal photography was really quick. It was only 5 weeks and only 6 weeks of prep. Very, very quick for a movie
Mhm.
like this.
Yeah.
And we shot it outside of Philadelphia in a wonderful small city called Chester. And we basically, and they've already know what production is like because I think Creed 2 or Creed 3 already shot in Chester before, so they already had. But the community was really great. They really came together and help us out. They actually help us clear the playground. A lot some of the artists there allow us to use their mural for the film. But the Malcolm X mural for the film on that street, we just shut down the whole street, and
Mm.
we didn't allow anybody to come in. We used some of the locals to be our security guard. It was security guards, which is really nice. And then of course you had some people try to sneak in, acting as if they are the crew because they know like this is a post-apocalyptic film, so nobody can there's no background actors that we can use. Um, but we had to shut it down because we don't want anybody to like leak any footage. But of course there was drones almost every day flying up and down the road, because people was very curious about like what's going on,
I was going to
So
say,
Chester was a great.
so people were really trying to get an insight if they couldn't see, and they were really
Oh
trying to
yeah,
get an insight in what was going on. Yeah.
yeah, of course. Because everybody like once you have Jennifer Hudson common name,
Mm.
once those two names, like everybody was like, oh my God. So was trying to get Jennifer and Common to meet the locals, but the producers hated that because of COVID restrictions during that time. But Jennifer and Common still they still did it. They still went around and meeting the locals, and whatnot. And
Oh,
sometimes
great.
they showed, they took pictures with the community with their with their costumes on. It was like, no, no, you're gonna leak it.
I was going to say,
But it was
spoiler.
all good, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah, yeah. But it was fine.
Um,
Yeah, it was fine.
so just another aspect of the kind of film. So music and sound design played a significant role
Mm-hmm.
in Breathe. How
Oh
did you
yeah, yeah.
collaborate with composers and sound designers to kind of create the desired atmosphere in the film?
Isabella Summers is a great collaborator. I gave her hell because she had a great imagination for what the sound was going to be, and albeit I felt like maybe I was a little restrictive to her, but she had a great imagination. She wanted this, you know, synth wave, vaporwave kind of sound to it, but still make it very ominous during the scenes. Um, but it was a lot of tugging back and forth with it. But once we finally found the sound, we were able to land it because my principle with a lot of with music and the sound of the music, right, is from my principle is like let's set a theme, like that very classic thing. Let's set a theme and then replay that theme, slow or sad, whatever it is to really evoke the emotion. Because if you have something that you're familiar with and you use that music, repeatedly throughout the film, but use it in different ways to like really evoke emotion. Hopefully that familiarity will grab the audience. And because the whole thing is about being familiar, right? I want the characters and the casting themselves is familiar. You have Jennifer is like somebody's auntie from around the way or cousin from down the block. Milla is like your high school teacher that you used to go to, or your professor that from college, and so on and so forth. So that familiarity, being familiar
Mm.
in the music is very important to me. Very, very.
Great, thank you for that. That's interesting, actually, just to hear a bit more about the connections between so how you're developing character there with sound, familiarity that you wanted to have with spectators as well. So, thank you for talking
Mm-hmm.
to us today. I appreciate your time. So, yeah, thank you very much.